Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com. You're joining me on board good old narrowboat Tilly, but not for long, as this video is a video that I've had a few requests for this type of video, but it's actually difficult to really get exactly what people have asked for. But we're basically just gonna go and have a look around Oswestry, my hometown, little small market town just on the border of Wales, like just on the English side of the border. And, well, it's changed a few times between England and Wales, I suppose, but I'm already getting distracted. So basically, here's just a few of the random sights and scenes from inside Oswestry at night. Not sure if it's of any interest to anybody, but there's a lot of people from overseas in particular who seem to want to see more of these little towns and places around. So, in that spirit, let's go and have a look around. So, after trying to record this audio a couple of times, I've come to the conclusion that it's a terrible idea for me to try and talk specifically about every single thing you'll see here, rather than more broadly about features of interest. But I will try and throw in as many photos of all sorts of old-fashioned and sort of quaint old-style buildings, I suppose, which is what people seem to be interested in seeing from round Oswestry. Now, this is the Guildhall, which sits on top of where the market's traditionally always been, and amazingly, my granddad, as a kid, got to live here because his dad was the caretaker there, and I mean, what a fantastic place to live. But if you consider that was not only a little place where they could live in part of it, that was literally all the old council offices. There was the old court for town and a prison cell there, and the town library was there. And so you literally, my granddad's got these stories of being a kid with all his friends, literally going and playing in the court when there's nobody around, and having band practice in the old town library, because it was just all there and they had the keys to it all, so that's what they did. And again, I just wanted to just talk about things like that. I mean, these stories and how old some of these buildings are. I've got a book that I'll have to make a video from of all old pictures of town as well, and it's just unbelievable to think how long some of these buildings have been about. An absolute perfect example of old buildings in the centre of town is this Clwyd Mansion, which literally says 1604 on the side of the building, and yet there it is over 400 years later, stood right in the middle of town, still opposite this modern bank, and just sat there carrying on. And imagine the stories that could tell and the evolution and changes it's seen in Oswestry over 4 centuries. Absolutely incredible. So, another point of interest here, interest to me personally, this is a crossing called Coney Green over the old railway lines, and one of the old railway buildings here where my great-granddad used to work, literally decades and decades and decades, 50 years plus ago. Absolutely incredible to think just the stories that the railway in town going off and carrying all sorts of freight around would have to tell you. This is one of the old railway bridges, obviously painted black, and trying to photograph it at night wasn't ideal circumstances. But yeah, I just really wanted to take a moment, like I say in so many of these videos, to just get around town and document a few of these buildings so that in years to come people can hopefully look at this video and go, oh yeah, I remember that, and wonder what's changed, or think, oh, that's reminded me of something else, and hopefully be a nice little video to reminisce to. Again, I just wanted to get a few shots in of just the streets in general. Well, they're empty without cars all over the place, although obviously as soon as you get into these old parts of town with all the terraced houses, it's literally just, well, it is quite literally just a car park that happens to also let some cars drive down the middle sometimes. So, on that note, I think we'll wrap things up, and I'll say thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to check out my other videos for loads more from this sort of area around Shropshire. If you're watching this and you're from Oswestry, feel free to add me on Facebook, as anybody else should feel free to add me on Facebook and Twitter, and like the Facebook page for loads of photos from the great outdoors and so on. And until the next time, have a fantastic day, keep it boot-worthy, keep it nostalgic, and of course, farewell.